Hey guys and gals, welcome to another episode of Comics and Sweet Tea. You ever have those days when you lose your fucking mouse? That just happened to me. But anyway, I managed to find the live button. And so, anyway, welcome to the show. Hey, if you're watching it for the first time, I hope you enjoy it. Please subscribe. We're trying to get our subs up. We're actually knocking on the door of 100 subs. So when we hit that magic 100 number, whoever that person is will win a end of days limited edition signed comic. So just a little incentive out there and a way of saying thank you guys. Appreciate each and every one of you. You're awesome. And speaking of awesome, one of my good friends hadn't had time to sit down and chat with him in a good while. I want to introduce you to the creator of Kid Nebula. He does the writing, the drawing, he does the whole kabang. And let me bring him in and introduce you to all of you. It's Dee Hausner. And then here's D. I, I didn't lose my mouse button this time.
How's it going,
Oh
Jerry?
God. Oh, it's going good, D. Like we were talking before the beginning of it, we've it's been a while,
Yeah.
and so get right into it, man. Kid Nebula. How have things been going on, Kid Nebula? Tell me all the
Uh,
woes, all the triumphs. Just
uh,
let's talk about it.
I mean, it's been a ride, that's for sure. But hey, I'm still smiling, so that's it's trying to stay positive. But it's been definitely a roller coaster. Since I'm like, since it's my first comic and I didn't realize what I was getting myself into, I definitely got.
None of us really do.
I mean, I really hit a couple big obstacles, and it kind of set me back, and I'm really, I think I'm back on track and everything should be good now. But yeah, I had one was my health, and then luckily that was a short.
Right.
I was on the was it the IR for for a short time, and then
Oh wow.
after that, just trying to get through it and get back in, and I was ready to actually have it all, printed, sent, and ready to mail to everyone. But then I ran into another snag when I looked it over again, and there's one part that I just, in good consciousness, I couldn't send it out.
I got
So
you.
I fixed that, and now I'm just waiting for the proofs, and we should be back.
Awesome, man.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, just anyone that's backed me, I haven't forgotten about you. This is the top priority, and I'm trying to get it out to you guys as soon as possible. But I wanted to make sure that it was the best I could give you as well. So that's why there's a little delay in that.
Yeah. And I mean, we all understand, especially, us that have actually been through the gauntlet of Kickstarter. And for the first time, it's such it's a learning process. That first go around really is. And I mean, even I learned something new every Kickstarter, and I try to apply it to the next one. And the first, oh man, it was I man, I poured over videos, I asked questions. I mean, and it still doesn't prepare you for what you're fixing to go up against with your first
Right.
Kickstarter. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
Kickstarter, the Kickstarter itself isn't that bad once you figure out, how to navigate it and get it all set up. Kickstarter itself's not that bad. It's just then you have to deal with the printer, and that doesn't always go great. And I've had some woes of late, especially with um, my last two books. Everything went perfect with the first one. I mean, I couldn't. it was like it was a hidden miracle, you know, because it went off without a hitch first go around. And then the second go around, I had some issues. I give them the files a lot earlier, and I really wanted to get the thing out earlier than what I had told everybody. And I'm like, so anyway, I give them the files, pay the money. I'm waiting around, and against my better judgment, I talked to a couple people, and they were. I'm not going to mention these people because I'm not about shitting on folks, but I'm not even going to mention the prayer. But they, I had talked to a few people and said, you know, they'd had some good dealings with them, you know, recently, that I ought to give them a second chance. You know, maybe it was just a little thing, and it seemed like they had worked it all out. So give them a second shot against my better judgment. And lo and behold, same old thing happens. Just so But anyway, I will fix that this next go around for each and everybody that plans on backing a end of days. Can in the future when which the books were on time. I can't say anything about
Yeah,
that,
got it
but
right here.
dude,
Got it right here, buddy.
yeah, look at there. No, yeah, yeah. But what pissed me off about the whole thing, they actually had that a month early. They had the files,
Mm,
and we're getting into August, and I paid as soon as I downloaded the files, and they sent me the thing. I ordered my copies to fulfill everything plus some extras, and so anyway, haven't heard a peep. I'm like, okay, they're working on this. So, and that's another thing I hate about them. You can't just call them, or you have to go through a whole thing. So
yeah.
anyway, and if I keep talking, I'm gonna give this away because a lot of people that have done this know exactly how they communicate. But anyway, oh yeah, we'll. So I messaged them. Oh yeah, yeah. We're at a con. And I'm like, what does that got to do with your business? you know, I don't give a shit where you are. I paid you X amount of dollars, and I sent you
Yeah,
files. You should be working on this.
right.
Yeah, we'll get on that as soon as we get back from the con. I'm like, okay, gotcha. So anyway, cranked out, got the books out. But anyway, that's enough of me bitching. But needless to say, I won't be using these people anymore. But yeah, that's the kind of stuff you have to deal with, on that end of it. You
Yeah,
don't know that because these people first go around, you couldn't ask for any better. I mean, they were on top of their shit, and then all of a sudden now, well, oh, we're at a con. You know, you run a business. What does that got to do? I anyway. I'm on a
yeah.
whole
I
rant,
hear you.
but yeah. So for everybody that doesn't know anything about Kid Nebula, lay it out for them. D. Kind of introduce all the viewers to the world that is Kid Nebula and the
Sure. Well,
Borealis Brigade.
yeah. So the first thing, I guess, when I first started this project, it was kind of going around in my head for quite a while. I was thinking back of the good old days of the Saturday morning cartoons. And I kind of was just like, man, I really miss those days, like the kind of that excitement that you'd have. You can't make sure you don't miss that, or you miss out the whole week talking
Hmm.
about it. So I kind of felt like kind of missing that a little bit this day, because everything you can just get at any time, right? Usually, like, so
Right.
I kind of wanted to. I took the approach with Kid Nebula, kind of grabbing my influences, like a lot of my sci-fi influences growing up. And I wanted to kind of have people feel like they're reading a Saturday morning cartoon. like they're kind of sucked in there. So that was kind of the approach
Yeah.
I took for it. So I have like kind of the crazy colors and all that stuff, and the characters and all that. But then when I got to the story, it's really, Kid Nebula is in the Borealis Brigade. So the Borealis Brigade was kind of this these galaxy defenders, this group of volunteers from all walks of life, all different planets, all aliens, robots, everyone that kind of joined together and volunteered for this galactic defense force, and
Right.
they were able to, you know, repel the evil baddies, which were the robot renegades. And then after that, this is kind of where this story takes place. After that, they got kind of pulled back into their different home worlds and dealing with like all the drama that with their own home planets and stuff, instead of thinking about the
Right.
galaxy as a whole. So that's kind of where we are, where the Borealis Brigade isn't really much anymore. It's just kind of a smaller group. And Kid Nebula is one of the few that really still believes in it. And because he has a lot of history, his family was some of the biggest members of that team. His grandpa,
Right.
his dad, his brother, and all that. And we're kind of just picking up here, kind of like, I think it's about 10 years. I think I have it 10 years after the last big time where they had called to arms and they had to repel the robot renegades. They kind of kicked them out of the galaxy, and now we're kind of here where a lot of things have changed, but you still got some of the remnants of it, but really it's just kind of left up to well, because it's kind of a time of peace, so people got too comfortable in a way,
They
and
got lax. I
yeah,
got you.
and then the guy in the back here, his buddy, Giant Robot, his his real name is his serial number is like G18NT, but when he was a kid, he saw it. He saw a giant. He saw that. He
Gotcha.
kind of made those words, and he's kind of had a tough thing. So he was always with them. So he's really one of the links between the past and the present of all the stuff going on with the Borealis Brigade and everything. But he's right now just basically, as I think I put in one of the first few pages, a glorified statue now. They got worried for having like a 50-foot robot kind of roaming around. So,
Yeah.
so they basically have him on this platform, almost like a statue, where he can't really move that far at all. He can't. He has to stay
Oh
there, and
wow.
he just kind of, and he voluntarily did it because he cares about the Borealis Brigade and everything. But it's been
Yeah.
years now, and he's kind of the only one that comes see him is Kid Nebula, and they hang out and talk and all that, but it's kind of tough existence for him right now. He's just kind of watching and waiting for maybe his moment to help out
To
again.
shine. I got you.
Yeah. And
Wow.
so yeah, so that's kind of where it starts off. It's where he's kind of, it's been almost like the anniversary, the 10-year anniversary of when this last big battle happened. And he's going to like um where the Borealis Brigade's the home planet there. It's like Borealis Prime, and he stays there, and he's just kind of going to the memorial they have for that just to kind of pay his respects. And you tell that it's still really, like, anyone that's gone through that kind of would know that it still bothers him a lot, right? He lost his dad and his brother through this whole
Wow.
thing, and you don't know yet about where his mom is, but that kind of is going to be hinted at a little later. But so he's just kind of going through that, and that's kind of where I started the whole thing here, and just kind of,
Right.
you know,
Built off
and
of that.
yeah, and so kind of one of the things where one of the key like sentences that came in my head right when I was doing this was just like kind of thinking about all's quiet on the Western Front. I was just like, all's quiet,
Yeah.
and then it's like until it's not, and then just boom, it's like this
Yeah.
stuff happens, and that's kind of where it's kind of starts like that, where, and you just kind of see how kind of ill prepared the governing body is now, because they're like, oh, there's
Right.
something we have to worry about again, and they're not expecting it and all that, and that's kind of where
Yeah.
we kind of pick up, and And then, the whole thing is just trying to see if he can get the band back together, right? You see right away that it's going to be kind of the Robot Renegades coming back for a rematch. They kind of didn't like how it ended last time, and
Right.
and they've been kind of plotting and everything like that. And so that's kind of where it is, where who's going to step up? Will they be able to get the Borealis Brigade? Are they still even around? I mean, all this stuff. And then you've got Giant Robot kind of trapped on this platform where he can just watch and just see all this stuff happening, and he can't do anything about it at the
Can't do
time.
anything. Wow.
Yeah, so it's kind of this tough thing. You've got the most powerful weapon, and he can't do anything right now. And they're trying to see if they can free him, but it takes all the red tape and everything to free him, because they're
Right.
so worried about it. So that's kind of where it hopefully that gave a good summary. And then really it's
Oh
full
yeah,
of
definitely.
like all the stuff I loved growing up, like giant robots and just robots in general, a lot of aliens, kaiju, all those good things in there that I just kind of try to weave them together to kind of
Yeah,
as a launching point here for this series.
I gotcha. Yeah, I mean, it sounds really awesome, and we've talked about this a few times. You never quite went into detail that much, but you know that looks like it could have some great character moments. Especially with him having to live up to that legacy of his grandfather and his father, and I could see where a lot of people could relate to that. And it yeah, it's a far away type tale, but it's got a lot of very close to home human elements, that people can relate to. And, that kind of stuff. Not only that, but, even the robot, you manage to humanize him in a way too. Even though he's a robot, he still, he cares, and it's almost like I don't even know what I would compare that to, but yeah, he's right there, but he's helpless, basically, and he's wanting to do something. But yeah, that's some great elements that you've added to this story, and I think
Oh,
they're really
thanks.
gonna hit home for people. Now, with this series, or do you have how many issues are you planning on going? I mean, is this going to be like a graphic novel type thing? The first issue, is it going to be a floppy, and we'll do it as a serial, or is it going to be released in like volumes? What are your plans for the
Yeah.
upcoming stuff?
Yeah, so this one is it's where is it? The last edits, I think it's definitely it's gonna be a floppy, but it's gonna be a large one. It's gonna be like I think
Gotcha.
44 pages or something like that.
Oh wow, got
And
a lot of
yeah, it's
story
gonna
there.
be and I kind of did that um because of it actually I had to stop it at a certain point because I realized that'll be the second one. I want to get this first one out there.
Right.
But then also like I do like a little longer format, just to, and then
Yeah.
also I kind of like to really set the atmosphere and stuff. So sometimes, it's kind of a slow burn in certain areas, but I wanted to kind of set that. So I had to kind of extend it. And then, of course, the what made it even a little longer, it was fun, but also kind of stressful, was the that tier that I had on the Kickstarter about
Oh yeah.
adding people's characters. So
Yeah.
th- that was that was
So
actually
you
one of the
doing that
parts
the
of
next campaign, or
uh,
yeah,
um, I might do
probably
that
not
kind of like probably not initially. I might do like one is like a mid
a
campaign
limited,
perk.
yeah, like a limited,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. So it was a lot of fun. I got some really cool characters to work on, but then it's also stressful because I want to do them justice and
right,
give them enough to make them feel like they're not just kind of showing up in the background. I kind of wanted to kind of highlight each one a little bit, which it makes it a little
I
tricky,
got you.
but yeah.
Wow.
So the other thing was just as far as like this story arc is probably about 3 or 4 issues, and then after that, um, I've got a lot of different other storylines and things to do, but I'd like to definitely explore more in this world. A lot of requests from for some of the side characters to get more of their stories out there, so I
Yeah.
might do that. Everyone likes the Kaiju Commando and the
Yeah.
Kai Killrath, the kind of the monkey space samurai.
Yeah.
So
He's really cool. That's from what I've seen of it. That and I haven't seen anything other than the characters, but just looking at the characters, that's probably my favorite. I know it was my favorite to draw out of all of
yeah, I mean, I can't wait to like your variant cover, Dennis's, all of them. I mean, then we had the wraparound cover, which was geez, that by Derek Fleece. That's going to be
Oh
awesome.
yeah,
And then
he that was a home run. He knocked it out of the park with that wraparound.
yeah, and then Red Hornet Studios, he has a really cool one too, kind of highlighting some of the bad guys, which is really cool. So
Yeah.
yeah, there's just so many, like it's just hard not to. I can't wait. That's one of the big things I can't wait to get in my hands, like all the proofs of all the different covers and everything to make sure they look good, like look the way they should, right? Because I'm just hoping
Right.
that there's no like I have to send it back and have them any updates like with the printer. But yeah, that's what I'm really looking forward to.
Oh yeah, man. There's nothing like holding that your first book in your hand for the first time. I mean, I
Yeah,
literally I got misty eyed. I'll admit it. I cried the first time I actually looked through my book. I mean, it got me, dude. I mean, that was the culmination of so many years, you know, of just sitting there daydreaming about this story and to actually be holding it in my hand complete. It just,
yeah.
there's nothing like it, man. There's nothing like it.
I can't wait because I mean I just got like so the con I went to last month. I think it was last month or the end of August. I have to look at it, but the I had a like kind of like a preview sampler. I just wanted to have something to
Yeah,
show them, like, okay, this is my artwork. It doesn't have like
right.
so and it kind of looks like this backdrop. So it's basically just like
Mm,
basically showing some of my artwork that I've put on Instagram and highlighted, and it's just
mm.
kind of a preview, right? So when I had in that one, I actually even still got emotional just holding the preview, like not even like the full
I'm
story arc
telling you,
and all
man.
that. But
You
when I get
hold
this
that.
one, it's gonna be
Hey, I bet you $10 you cry the first time you actually hold the completed book and
oh
uh
gosh.
and actually look through it for the first time. I'll put money on that one. Like I said, $10 bet, open bet right here, and I trust you. You let me know after, and if you don't cry, I'll pay up. So I'm telling you, man, it'll get you.
Oh
There's just
man,
something about it, man.
because even when I was editing, it brought back like where I was at that moment when I first worked on that page and that all that stuff, and
Yeah,
that was even getting emotional too, just because a lot of stuff happened through the course of creation of this. So I mean, a lot of it, some of it mirrors like kind of what happened to me in real life, just because it was a way of me kind of dealing with things, and
yeah,
it was tough. I mean, you know, so that's kind of why I wasn't trying to follow like a formula or anything, but it just kind of happened. Like during the time of me working on this, my dad passed away and one of my brothers passed away unexpectedly, so it
yeah.
was just like a lot to deal with. So you know the
Right.
working on the art is really kind of therapeutic and just kind of helping me get through it, and it really and then all you guys really helped me you know, get to where I'm at now, like kind of at least kind of in a place where I can deal with it a little better. So
Yeah, I'm so sorry for your loss, brother, and I'm just glad that we could be there for you in a time that you needed somebody, to kind of pick you up a little bit, you know,
yeah,
because and I mean, getting back to that, you don't. I know my story, and I keep reverting back to that because, I mean, that's what I know from my experience of it with comics is what I've done, and you tend to take these little elements from your own life, and I mean, we make these fantastic stories, you know, like you've got sci-fi, I've got supernatural horror, and of course we don't have aliens and 50-foot robots and vampires and werewolves and demons and angels, you know, but we tend to take that little piece of us and put it into our stories, our that little bit of humanity, and we don't even realize we do it till we actually sit down and start reading our own story that we've actually taken a piece of ourselves and put it in there, you know. But it's like you said, it's not only therapeutic, but it's, man, it when I sit down, and I done this a while back, and read through my first three books, I was like, oh wow, you know, I wasn't expecting it to hit me like that, you know. I mean,
mhm,
yeah, I helped write every word of this thing in some capacity or another between me and my daughter, and I sat down, I looked through the scripts, we plotted it, we put it together, but it doesn't really hit till you actually sit down and read it. And I know that sounds crazy, but coming from a creator's perspective, and you know exactly what I'm talking about, when you sit down and read your own story, even though you created this thing, it doesn't hit. You wrote every word of it, but it doesn't hit till you actually sit down and you got it right here and you're reading it. And there's no way to describe that to somebody, if they
right,
until they create their own thing and sit down and have the same, have the same thing happen. I know I got off a little bit on that with kind of a rant, but I mean it's something. It really is. To
yeah,
create it. It's you put a little piece of yourself in this thing, and you don't even realize it until then. When you
right,
actually have it in your hands and you're going through it, you don't realize just how much of yourself you put into it until that point.
exactly, yeah, that's so true. Like I said, this just last was a week and a half ago. I looked at some of the pages, and man, it just hit me like a ton of bricks. Couple pages as I was
Hmm.
going through, I was like, "Oh wow," But
Yeah,
I think that's good because you don't realize like when people are reading it, they can feel all that, like because it's coming from a place that it's
exactly.
not, So that's what's cool about it. But yeah, it's you kind of forget until you go through and read the whole thing again. It's like, wow.
Right. You're so caught up. Yeah, it goes back to the old saying, you can't see the forest for the trees because you're
Yeah,
you're in the thick of it, and all you're concentrating on is getting this thing knocked out. You're thinking about,
yeah,
oh, I don't like the color shade here, so I'm gonna change that a little bit, or uh,
yeah,
I don't like the theme on this page, or that panel doesn't look right. I don't have flow from this page to this page. You're caught up in all the little stuff, and you can't absorb it the way you need to absorb it until you
right,
actually get all that out of the way and you can sit down and enjoy it for what it is, your creation, you know?
yeah, yeah. That's couldn't have said it better. Yeah, that's basically it. And that's why I think it's been great, like especially over these last couple of years, that it's been it's been really good, like just to kind of put, you know, because I don't like really talking about all this kind of stuff, and bringing other people down. It's like I always try to stay positive and everything like that. So, but it was really good. I could
Yeah,
put it in the work, and I was able to kind of get it out through that way.
right.
Yeah.
And it's awesome that you can use this stuff. I mean, it's just like you said, it's going to affect somebody. They're one way or another, it's going to affect them. When they sit down and read this thing, they're going to feel those emotions, you know. And it was good that you were able to find a way, to deal with all these things. But also, people are going to be able to take a little bit of that in, you know,
Yeah.
and it's a special thing. It really is. When I was a kid, and you're the same way, I'm sure. When we were kids, we'd sit down, and we'd read comic books, and it was a comic book, but I mean, there were moments that made us really feel for these characters. And it
Hmm.
never crossed my mind, that, okay, so maybe this is a little bit of what actually that writer went through at that time. That never sunk in because, I mean,
Right.
we were kids. We weren't supposed to know that. We weren't jaded by the world yet. We hadn't been through all these things. And here we are now, adults. I'm not going to say older people. I'm going to say adults. We'll leave it
There you
at
go.
adults. But we've lived through these things now, and we can appreciate these stories. We go back. There's certain stories like the death of Gwen Stacy. You know, I'll take that one because that one stands out in my mind. When we were kids, it never really it was a story. But now you go back and you read it and you're like, oh my God, Peter went through all these horrible things, to become Spider Man and be Spider Man. I mean, these were very grown up themes, and they were being presented to children. And I lost my whole track. But anyway, but yeah, the hold on, I think I got it. Yeah, but now you go back and you look at it and you think about that and you see, well, what if the creators were going through these type of things in real life, and you're getting a little piece of that pain or joy, depending on what the story is. You're taking a little piece of them with you, from these
Hmm.
stories. And
Oh, for
now
sure.
we get to do that, with
Hmm.
our own stories, and that really blows my mind, you know, to have people, message me or whatever, or hit me up and tell me, what this story, how it moved them, how they really appreciate it, and they like this and they like that. That just, man, it blows my mind. I never
Yeah.
thought, that could be us, on the other
Right.
side of
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
It's a really awesome and humbling thing, you know. It it I still can't get used to it. When people tell me, "Oh man, I love your book. I love what you did with this and that," and I'm like, "Oh wow," because I'm a very humble person, and for somebody to praise my work like that, I don't know how to deal with it. It's still
Yeah.
hard for me. I'll If you're looking at me, say we're face to face. Say if I make it to a con one of these days and somebody comes up and says, "Well, your work is blah 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 blah." If you're anywhere near me, I promise you're going to see me blush because I don't
Hmm.
deal well with it. I don't look at myself that way. I'm just somebody that's got a story that I want to tell. That's the way I
Hmm.
look at it.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Yeah. No, that's kind of how, even when I was at the con, this last con I went to, that was what was kind of weird too, like trying to
Yeah.
promote, talk about your stuff. That, but I got over that pretty quickly with just following the lead of everyone around me, like all of my neighbors. But
Right.
the part that really got me kind of all like kind of excited was when I saw like sometimes I saw like this kid run over and wanted and drag his parents over there because he wanted to read look at the comic and the display, and I was like,
Oh
oh man,
wow.
kind of brought me back to when I would go through like a comic shop or
Yeah.
something like that. I'd be so excited, and
Hey
then the
mom,
other
dad, check this
yeah
out. Yeah.
yeah, and then and then the cool thing was then I had also just some probably people like roughly our age that kind of was like, oh, this brings me back then, and so they
Yeah.
wanted to read it too, so that was kind of cool. And then I'm like, oh, good, they get it. Then it comes through that's kind of what I was trying to capture, like that vibe
Right.
that that young and old can kind of connect with in different levels.
Yeah. It's a book for all ages, man. I mean, it really is. You captured something with this book, and we all told you, seeing panel after panel after panel, it was, man, it's awesome watching your style grow in this book because you literally seen it panel by panel, and some of the you pushed the limits on some of it, and it was awesome to see. You took it in a whole different direction artistically than you originally
Yeah.
anticipated to go with it, and I mean the it turned out amazing. Just putting that out there, it really did. I mean, some of the
Oh,
some of the
thank you.
style choices that you took with this book, I've never seen anything like it, and that's a good thing. You want to stand out, in our market, and you've created your own style that is you, that is Kid Nebula, and nobody can take
Thanks.
that away from you.
Thanks. I mean, I kind of I had a starting point and an idea, and then I just kind of was trying to let it kind of take me in whatever direction, that it did.
Right.
And then it definitely, like you said, I was like, oh wow, it totally changed a lot. But I like it. I mean, I'm happy with it, and I'm glad I've like kind of leaned into that more. And you can
Yeah.
kind of see when I can't wait for you to. You'll probably be able to see like, okay, you did this earlier. You did this page earlier on. You did this page later on because
Right.
I left it because I remember I think it was Chris said that from Homebrew Comics, like you kind of get caught up like, oh, I want to remaster it all and all that, but then you kind of say like,
Yeah,
well, it
you
is
can't
kind of
do
just
that.
like it's like a
Yeah.
living journal like of your whole experience of creating it, so you'll
Right.
see different things. So I kind of just I kind of fought the urge and said, okay, I'll let it go with a couple of those pages.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Looking at my last issue compared to this, I wanted to go back and redo the whole first book. you know, and you can't do that though. I mean, it's just like you said, and just like Chris has said, it is a journal of your work, and that was who you were at that time.
Yeah.
And you just gotta your style is going to progress. The more you draw, it's going to change. That's just all there is to it. And
Yep.
you can't get caught up in all that. I remember reading a story years ago. Um, the Hellboy creator.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
drawing a blank right
Mignola.
now.
Are you talking
Magnola.
about Mig?
So
Yeah.
anyway, yeah, you know exactly which one I'm talking about. Probably it was one of the books, and one of the Hellboy books, and it took him over a year to complete this thing, man, because he got so caught up in his own style and being a perfectionist that he was ripping up pages left and right. He'd get halfway through the book and, oh, this doesn't look right, and he'd junk it, and start completely over. And he finally realized, look, I'm trying to make money off of this. I'm trying to make a career. I can't get caught up in all this. I
Yeah.
can't do this, you know. And he went on to say basically, it is what it is. Let it be what it is and go on. You know, doesn't matter.
Hmm.
It's not always going to be your best, but you you completed the work. Just be proud of what you got and move forward. You know? And your style is going to do
Yeah.
what it's going to do. You can't get caught up in that. But
Yeah, I
I
totally
learned a
agree.
lot from that because I used to be like that a lot. I would get 3/4 of the way through a page or a picture, man. I threw so much art away, dude, over one little line that I could have just erased. And I mean,
Uh,
seriously, I was like that. I was very woo. It was bad, but after reading that story about Magnolia, I was like, oh, well, shit, that's me to a T. I got to do something about this.
yeah.
Hell, they make erasers for a reason. It's time to start using it and just go with it, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Oh
But
man.
anyway, so yeah, you were talking about being, getting back to Saturday morning cartoons, and we've had this conversation before too. Which would you say you drew? Which cartoon would you say you drew the most inspiration off of for Kid Nebula? Or
Wow.
were there multiples that you drew inspiration from?
Yeah, so there were definitely drew inspiration from, you know, even something like Silverhawks.
Oh yeah, I
Y
remember
yeah,
Silverhawks.
I mean,
Loved
and
it.
then, like, Herculoids, Space Ghost, even, then I get into, like, Voltron, Transformers, and,
Yeah.
geez, and
Oh, you
then
pulling all the classics.
yeah, and then I also was really like, so not necessarily a Saturday morning, but like, I got inspired a lot by Tron. Just
Yeah.
the look and everything was just amazing. And then, of course, I mean, I have a giant robot. Iron Giant was one of my big inspirations. Just the way that the storytelling in that movie was just amazing to me.
Oh
Um,
God, yeah.
I mean, I still, if that movie comes on, I have to watch it. I can't like flip past it. I have to watch it. And
It's
then
it's
like,
a modern day classic. It really
oh
is.
yeah. And then, of course, I have the influence like Star Wars uh, and then like a lot of things like the Dark Crystal. Um, so like I'm bringing like stuff from all over the place. Secret of Nim, all that kind of stuff is kind of just. I even liked like growing up with that Saturday morning cartoons like the Dungeons and Dragons. I really like that one.
Oh
Um,
God, yeah.
yeah, that was good. And then I mean, and then there's one that kind of obscure, but it always came on like that one when I lived in Alaska as a kid. That one came on kind of after school during the week, so I kind of like that one. It was called Jace and the Wheeled Warriors, um, and that one was
I
kind of
think I
different.
remember that one.
Yeah, that
I
was kind of
think I
cool.
remember that one.
Um, but then you gotta throw in Thundar. I mean, you gotta have Thundar in
Oh
there with
God,
his
yeah.
sun sword and everything. So I mean, I kind of just drew all the kind of this that all that like you just kind of mix all that up in a pot, and that's kind
Yeah.
of what
And that's Kid Nebula.
yeah, pretty much that sums it up. Not even going into like well, I did a little bit of Star Wars, but like I mean I've watched like even those crazy sci-fi like Space 1999, Buck Rogers, the original Battlestar Galactica, all that kind of stuff, Star Trek. So my
Right.
brother was really big into Star Trek, so I watched a lot of that. But yeah, there's so many different things I kind of probably even like didn't even realize, but people that have seen it are like, oh, this is from inspired from such and such. And I was like, oh wow, I didn't even
Yeah.
think of that. It just happens,
Yeah.
kind of
It's all such a part of you,
yeah.
growing up and absorbing all that stuff. I've been called out on some things too. I was like, wow, I didn't even realize I had that in there. And you 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 don't know, but it's so much a part of you.
Hmm.
It becomes a part of you, and you don't even realize it till you've done it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's and I've through all the things I've always been kind of I really like the teams, like people working
Mm-hmm.
together and kind of against like just a bad force or a big bad group of people. And I thought it was always cool. Like even like you know, I guess his named a couple things, but I remember it as Battle of the Planets. But then the diehards are like, "Oh no, it's Gotcha Man," all this other stuff. But when I saw it, they called
Yeah,
it
yeah.
Battle of the Planets, and I really liked that how they kind of came together. You know, it's all the stuff with like Voltron and Transformers too.
Mm-hmm.
But then and then really go old school. We get the bootlegs from back in the day, like Ultraman,
Oh
and
God,
then
yeah.
and then the one that was really out there that some people know, like I think I have one shirt with it, and every once in a while someone actually knows what it is, but it's Johnny Sacco and his giant robot, his flying robot, and
Yeah.
that was a real trippy one, but it was cool. Like I was like, as a kid, you're like, oh wow, it's awesome. He could just call his robot on his watch or whatever, and then he would
Right.
just show up. But yeah, so I mean, I was kind of so it wasn't strictly just like the cartoons. It was pretty much that whole vibe, you know, and then a bunch of comics too. I mean, I
Right.
really just got into. I think I talked about it before, but like Secret Wars was what really drew me into initially, like comics, and I was like, oh man, what is this? Like all of them together, and
Yeah.
I really like that. So
I think
yeah,
Secret Wars was responsible for a lot of people our age being drawn into comics. You know, I
yeah,
talked to several people my age, which y'all have all heard my story. I just Spider Man is what pulled me in, but a lot of people around our age that I've talked to, they're like Secret Wars, man, Secret Wars. You know,
yeah,
you hear that a lot,
yeah,
and I mean, because it was something so different. You know, I mean, it was all of one big story, and that had never been done before. You know,
yeah,
it was a one time thing back then. That was the birth of the crossover. You know, and
yeah,
love him or hate him, Jim Shooter knew what the hell he was doing. You know, I mean, you're either on one side of that coin or the other. But I mean, his ideal worked. He
hmm
brought record sales to Marvel. You know,
yeah,
and continues to every time they have a crossover, which feels like not special like it used to be anymore, though. I mean, now, I mean, they do a crossover every other month. You know, we're used
yeah,
to like with Secret Wars, it was which that was the first, and then it got to be a once a year thing, and now, I mean, it's not special anymore. It's every other month. Oh, we got Battle of the flying flamingos out my ass, you know, or whatever, you know, or oh God, what was one they done that was something about the realms? Anyway, I haven't read a mainstream book and I can't tell you when, but yeah, I mean,
yeah,
I'll go back and I'll read articles about what's going on in mainstream comics just because it's still comics. Even though it's not
hmm
what it used to be, it's still the thing that I fell in love with, you know, and I still love, even though it's not near about what it used to be. It holds a special place in my heart, and it always will. Even though it's not
yeah,
what it used to be, and I'll leave that at
yeah.
that. But you know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm kind of the same way. I haven't really. I'll look once in a while when I'm uh, like checking out some comics, but yeah, I haven't gotten one of those kind of mainstream ones like in a long time. I mean, I'll get like some image, some basically more though. I just usually get all these indie comics. You know, you guys,
Yeah,
I really feel like they really feel like the whole indie community is really kind of helping lead the way in some aspects. You know, telling different stories and
right.
things like that. So I really like that. It's refreshing.
It really is. I said mainstream. One of the last mainstream, which is still not mainstream because Image. Well, I guess Image is mainstream now. I mean,
Now, yeah,
they're yeah. I mean, they're part of the big. Well, it's the big three now. Ever since they hit the scene back in the day, they took a chunk out of it. So I guess you could even though they're indie, they're not indie. But you know, Oh, something is killing the children. I picked that up, and I'm still getting that. The story actually just started back, a couple months ago, and that's been about the only mainstream thing that I've read in a long time. But that story was something. It was so different. It first issue just sucked me right in, and I jumped on board. And every time an issue comes out, I got to get it. It's just one of
Mm,
those stories. But yeah, I mean, it's hit and miss. So even with Image, yeah, I mean, you'll have something like that or Ultra Mega or
yeah.
something like that, and then you'll have 12 other titles that are just horse shit. And, and I hate to say that, but I mean, hey,
Yeah.
it is what it is. But
Yeah.
it's few and far between, even with Image.
Yeah. 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 Ultra Mega is another one. I really love that one. That was
Yeah,
good.
that was badass.
I got to check that one out though that you're talking about. I keep seeing it around and people talking about it.
Dude, I'm telling you, something is killing the children. I want to say we're up to it's knocking on 30 now. But yeah, dude,
Wow.
it's something special. It's actually you've got you could pick it up and trade now. You can get
Yeah.
like I forget how many volumes they are into it, but yeah, you can pick it up and just go through the whole story and get caught up, and it's well worth it. I mean, it's
Mm.
an awesome story. It really is. It's something different.
That's cool. Yeah. I definitely want to check that one out.
It's about the only thing that I've seen in a long time that's been worth checking out.
Mm. Yeah. I do
Other
like,
than go ahead.
oh, go ahead. Oh, no, I was just going to say, like, I have been just out of fun, like, kind of like some bonding time with my daughter. She likes comic book Wednesdays. Like take her to the comic shop late, like
Oh
last
yeah.
2 3 weeks, and that's been a lot of fun. Just kind of going through that so she can kind of see what that's all about. That's cool.
See, that's awesome. Me and my son, used to do that. And every once in a blue moon, which he's in college now, which he's still partially home. But every once in a blue moon, it's not. We used to hit new comic book day every week. We go check out the books, and they closed all our local shops. Which one of them is kind of weird. He's not really open. Uh, he actually it's mostly online, but I've known him for a lot of years, and he he works in this card shop, and he's got his comics in the back of the store where you can actually still look at them. So you can go in there, and he doesn't do the new issues anymore, of course. But
Hmm.
me and Gabe will still every once in a blue moon when he's got time between school and I'm home, we'll go in there and we'll just dig through back issues, looking for
Yeah.
whatever. And
Oh, that's
there's
cool.
nothing like that, man. I don't care
Yeah.
how old they get. That's special. Hanging out with your kids and looking at comic books.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
doesn't get better than that.
Yeah. Totally. I mean, that's awesome. Yeah. And yeah, I'm just thinking about like my son is a little younger. My daughter, he hasn't fully yet shown like interest yet in going to the comic shop, but he always
Yeah,
likes talking about. He loves talking about dinosaurs and monsters and robots. I'm right there with him on that. So,
yeah. You can't go wrong with any of those.
uh, man, oh gosh,
So once you get this book out, and I hate to even bring this up because you're probably going to want to reach through the screen and slap the piss out of me, but I'm going to ask, when are you thinking about a second issue of
oh man,
Kid Nebula?
I had a feeling
Too
you were going to
early?
bring this up.
Yeah, I had to ask, man.
No, I mean, so the part of me that's excited about the whole story arc and everything, I definitely like to try to get that out. So initially when I first started this, the naive self of mine, I was just like, every November I'll just do one, and it'll be awesome.
Yeah.
But then this one, this one is taking a lot longer just because of, like I was saying, stuff that happened in my life and then
Right.
just other things. But I think like moving forward, this really has helped me kind of come up with a process that works for me. So I think I
Yeah.
can definitely do it in a shorter amount of time than this one's taken. But yeah, I'm thinking of sometime like maybe middle of next year,
Okay.
doing one, and then definitely learn my lesson, uh, that like make sure it's more locked down when I do the campaign this next time, just so I'll be able to send it out a lot sooner. I thought I was locked down, but then it just, after going through and editing, I was like, oh, this needs a little bit more, and all this stuff. And
Right.
so I just need to make sure that it's more locked down this next time before when I'm planning the next Kickstarter.
I got you. Yeah, I'd said I was going to do it with this last issue, and I didn't. I rushed it, but I think, which I'm not actually drawing my next issue, that prequel book that I'm doing with Matt Martin, he's going to be doing pencils on that, and I think. Well, I posted several things from it,
Yeah, it's
but
looking
anyway,
good. Looking
that's
good.
yeah, man, Matt is killing it, dude. I mean, some of the stuff that he's bringing to this thing, he is. Oh man, it just I'm jealous. I'll put it that way. I'm I'm literally jealous. But no, he's shredding it. He really is. But my next actual chapter of the ongoing story, which will be chapter 4, I think that I'm gonna wait till I'm completely done before I actually launch the campaign, or at least you know about 95 to 97% done. Because I
Yeah.
would like to, and I said that last time, I would just like to be able to do the campaign and just sit back and enjoy it, without having to
Yeah.
rush around and work on lettering or work on colors or finish panels. It'd be nice to just sit back and say, okay, I've done the work. Let's go with the campaign, because the campaign in itself is a lot of work. You're
Hmm.
throwing out ads left and right, and you're hoping to God people don't hate your guts, because I mean you're posting 2 or 3 times a day. Hey, buy my book, buy my book. Here's my book, buy
Yeah.
my book. You know, and but anyway, it would be nice to just be able to focus on that part of it instead of all the rest
Yeah.
of it. You know,
Yeah, for
so
sure.
that's
I mean, that is like really, because the whole process can be like just the Kickstarter itself is like, because you're doing all that, you're trying to get the word out. It's like pretty emotionally, just physically draining after a while, after that
oh
month.
yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah.
that,
And what really tell me this, the middle of the campaign, which I like to refer to as the desert, where
yeah.
you might have one or two, and you're just sitting there watching this thing. I would catch myself watching it, and then when somebody get a book, I was like, "Oh yeah, here we go again," and then nothing for a couple
Yeah.
days. You know, but that's part of it.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people. I had read a lot of things, and I talked to a lot of people, and they pretty much told me, the bulk of it is pretty much going to be your first week and your last 2 days. Now you're going to get
Hmm.
people in between that, but I mean they weren't off by much. I mean the majority of it is your first week and your last 2 days. You'll
Yeah.
have a lot of followers, and they'll wait to the last damn day to jump on sometimes. But like,
Yeah.
oh, last hour, and you're sitting there looking at the followers and the people that have converted over, and you're like, what are y'all waiting on? And then right up there at the last minute, oh, okay, they converted. All right, yes, you know,
Yeah. Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, that's kind of why I was thinking about maybe like in the middle, like during the I always call like the that's when the crickets come out, in the middle of that
yeah,
Kickstarter, and kind of have
yeah,
like have like a cricket tier and like maybe do something like maybe add a few like a tier where you want to be in the comic or something like that. Maybe I'll do that then
Right.
this time. But yeah, it's definitely I
Just
don't
to
know.
draw that interest back in. I got you.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. It's scary though. Like it's still nerve wracking. I mean, everyone kept saying, "Oh, it's gonna be great," and I was still nervous. Like all right up to like pushing that button and all that. Like that.
Yeah.
Oh, it was nerve
At least you
wracking.
didn't do like I fucked up, didn't put the right amount of days in on my last campaign, and I'd
Oh,
never
that's
done
right.
that before. What was it, like 26 days? I cut myself
Yeah.
like 4 days short. I'm like, what the fuck? And I didn't even realize I'd done it till after it was done, and y'all brought it to my attention during the live. I'm like, oh my God, no, I didn't, you know, and that's 3 campaigns in, and something as major as that, you can still screw up, you know.
Yeah.
And I still to this day say I put 30 in. There's no way that was a glitch.
26.
I'll take that one to my grave. That was a glitch in the system.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah, that was wild. But yeah, you hear stories too about like, oh, I didn't realize I already went live with it, and you didn't know until a couple of days
yeah.
into
Oh yeah, my campaign was live. I've heard that happen to a few people. They hit the wrong button and didn't even know their shit was live, and they've been going for 2 days. Yeah, that would be
Man,
a little. Ooh, that'd be a tough one to swallow right there.
I like
Especially,
this
can you imagine sitting down and you're getting ready to throw your live party, and they're like, "Hey, dude, you've been live for the last 48 hours." I can't
yeah.
imagine.
Oh, that'd just be yeah, especially when you're doing a live launch and you realize, oh, I've already been live.
Yeah.
Um,
Like, well, this is a live launch.
yeah. But like I know some that I know did a thing like a to the backers of like say the first Kickstarter, they would send them out something saying, "Hey, like a pre-launch, they could get in like a day earlier than
Yeah.
anyone else, and then they'd get in, and there's like a special incentive to do it or something." I've seen that. That's kind of
Oh
cool.
wow,
Yeah,
that
they
must
send the
be
link
something new
out.
they're doing.
Yeah, I don't. It's kind of neat. Like I saw it, and I don't know if they just like didn't publicize it and just sent out the link to the others, but yeah, I have to look into it
That had to
more.
be what it was. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do a little checking on that because I've never heard that. That's got to be
Yeah.
something brand new, or like you said, they held it for the people that have been loyal to them the whole time, and that's pretty cool. To do
Yeah.
that for your people.
Oh
And I
yeah.
mean, I would totally do that. You know, I mean, you've had people that have been with you the whole time. I mean, why not give them first shot at it?
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. I mean, that'd be cool.
And that's kind of, that was my big thing behind the early bird last time, just giving people a deal, something really cool just for that first day as a thank you, for just
Hmm.
being there that whole time. And I plan on
Yeah.
doing the same thing this time. I don't know exactly what I'm going to cook up this next go around, but
Mm.
it's going to be something cool, you know.
Yeah.
The, and it's going to be a deal for everybody as a thank you, you know.
Hmm. Yeah. That's for
Hey,
sure.
did you like the shirt? That's what I want to know.
Oh,
How'd you like the shirt?
bro, got it right here. I was running late. I was gonna try to
Boy, you
change
come
into it.
ready, didn't you?
Yeah. It's good, man. It's
Yeah,
nice.
I
I like
loved how
the
those
feel of
turned
it
out.
too. Oh
Yeah,
yeah, it
they
looks
turned
great
out
and it
really
feels
good.
good. Yeah. Yeah, I can't
I
prepare,
almost
man.
wore
Got
mine
all your
today, but
swag.
I, I I almost wore it today, but I had to wear my new Scotty Young Spider-Man shirt.
Oh man, that's a good one too.
But yeah, I was really proud of how those turned out, and I got those done locally. Believe it or not, I
Oh,
worked out a deal with a local shop, and hey, as long as they're taking care of me, I'm gonna keep getting from them. I,
Yeah.
I'm one of those type of guys. Hey, buy local. You know,
Oh yeah,
anything to help
for
your
sure.
hometown.
Yeah, I just got these today. I'll be sending to you guys too. These glow in the dark um, red
Oh wow,
nebula.
those
Yeah,
are awesome.
can't wait for to send those out to you guys too. Keep
Those are
adding more.
really
I mean,
cool.
that's one good thing for you guys. I keep getting more things I'm going to be throwing in there for you guys.
Yeah. Are you getting all those through Sticker Mule, or you going through different vendors, or
Yeah, like different vendors, but a lot sticker mule because they always had those promos. And then that other
yeah,
one was it Sticky Brand or whatever. I do some of
yeah,
those.
yeah,
But man, they that was stressful because everything was like last minute. And
right,
the first couple they sent me like before the con, I go, at least I have to have stickers or something. And then they sent, but then I'm like, what about all these other ones? And I finally
right.
reached out to them because I went to the thing and said like, okay, it used to be expected delivery like a couple days ago, and then now they just wiped it out. There's nothing on there. So I called
Oh
them, and then they
wow.
let me know, oh, one of our machines went down. And I'm like, well, you didn't let
Oh
anyone know. I would have like done something different. And then, but like,
yeah.
luckily, most of them came through just the time because like I had to get on a plane to get on it, so I didn't have them all. But one of my buddies that was going to go to the con too, he had a later flight, so he said I'll swing by your house to see if they delivered anything, and they
Oh
did
wow.
deliver a couple things. But yeah, it was like stressful. I was like, man, I'm not going to have a lot, but it worked out.
It worked out. That's awesome, man.
Yeah,
I'm just
yeah.
glad you got to go show everything off at the con. I'm still looking forward to doing that.
Oh,
Man,
it's a
just
blast.
thinking about it excites me to no end. One of these days, I'll actually get to do it. You
Yeah,
know.
it's. I've got like so I kind of wanted to test the waters this time. I had three cons scheduled. I had the one I just did,
Wow.
and then I got Baltimore, and then I'm ending the year the LA Comic Con, and then after that I'll just get to enjoy the holidays. But that'll be fun. Looking forward to because each one everyone tells me they have their own kind of personality, each con.
Yeah.
So it'll be kind of cool to see what it's like.
Well, sounds like you picked a good one to go to because I think just about everybody in our group is going to be at Baltimore. Uh, I think I'm might be the only one of my group that's not making it. I think Dan's coming.
Yeah,
Um,
Dan's coming.
uh, I can't remember if Robert's going or not. I can't remember if he's going to make that one.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean
Gotcha.
Dan and pretty much all of Savage Sandbox is going to be there, so y'all have a blast, man.
Yeah,
I
I'm looking
I
forward
kind of
to
hate y'all right now. I'm
it.
just messing with you, but yeah, man, it would be so awesome to be there with you guys, man. When I found out that I had to work for that one, I was so disgusted. You have no idea because
Oh
that's the
man.
one. That was the one. I wanted to be there with all of you guys and us just get to hang out and shoot the shit
Yeah.
and sling some comics and meet some people that like our books. I mean, oh man, I was so excited just thinking about it. And then I looked up the dates and I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Why? Why?
Oh man.
But yeah, y'all will have a great time. There's no doubt in my mind.
Yeah, I can't wait. I'm really so the big thing I have for the next this next week or two is just make sure I want to have everything sent out to all the backers, really
Yeah.
early, like early on, like before well before the I go to Baltimore. It's just so I can start getting the feedback that people have received it and they're looking at the comics and stuff. That'd be really cool because I want to let them know I haven't forgotten about them. I can't hate posting stuff like,
Oh,
"Oh, I'm
we
going to
know
this
you ain't
con."
forgot about us, dude. We know you ain't forgot about us.
Man, I
But I
just
tell
kind
you,
of,
I'm super excited to read this book. I really am.
I can't
Like I
wait to
said,
hear
just
hear what
sitting
you
there
say about it.
watching those, just looking at those panels, man. I mean, seriously, I can't wait to actually sit down and go page to page with this thing and just see,
Mm.
what all you've done with it and just absorb the story and take my time with it. I'm really
Oh,
looking forward
cool.
to that because
Yeah,
I
that's
think
something.
it's a very unique and beautiful thing that you created. and I can't wait to
Thanks,
see
man.
the finished product.
I can't wait to hear what your feedback on your comments when you read it. It's gonna be exciting when I
Oh
send
yeah,
it. So you got
I'll
it.
be posting. I'll be posting, dude. You know I will.
I'm still waiting. Like I'm kind of like it's one of the incentives of me trying to get my butt in gear and get this finalized and sent out. I'm waiting because I want to be clear mind when I jump into this bad boy. Oh man.
I can't wait to hear what you think about it, man. I've
Oh
had some reviews from some of our guys, and I mean, they're telling me this is the best one so far, and that really gives me a lot of pride because I don't know what it was with this last one, but it it took a lot. I mean, this that book right there was harder for me to do than the first one, and I still haven't put my finger on what it was yet. But I mean, I suffered through it, crunk it out, and I mean, looking at it now at the finished product, it just man, it blew my mind. And I was hoping that people would respond to it the way that I wanted them to, and they have. They're like, man, this is the best one you've done yet, and that really that made it worth it. You know,
oh
I know
yeah.
what I went through behind the scenes with it, but just hearing everybody saying how they felt about it and the story so far, I mean that all the rest of that shit just fades away when you hear that.
Oh
And you're
yeah.
like,
That's
yes,
awesome.
mission accomplished. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome, man. Yeah, you're just like shooting up, man. Each one just gets better than the last one. That's good.
Well, that's the trajectory you want to have. You want to keep going
Yeah.
up. You don't want to just take a nose dive off a cliff and fall
Yeah.
flat on your damn face, and you're like, what? What happened? You know, we don't want that. So yeah,
Yeah.
as long as things are going up, hey, everything's lovely.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
dude, I know you've got things you got to do, but I really appreciate you coming on today, D, and talking to us about your book. So awesome to finally have you on the show. And
Mhm.
hey, man, I'm rooting for you in this book and just whatever you do. You know that, bro.
Oh, thanks so much, man. I really appreciate the opportunity and the invite, man. It's always an honor to,
Oh, no problem.
be
No
on this.
problem.
So appreciate it.
Can't wait to have you on again. And
Oh,
we'll talk some more stuff. I don't know if you caught it yet. I'm doing grumpy old nerds where we where we sit down and talk about the Marvel shows and the Star Wars series and stuff like that. Anytime, hey, you want to jump on with me on that, and us either root for a show or shit all over it, whichever one you prefer, just let me know and we'll do it.
oh, for sure. That'll be awesome. That sounds like fun.
Oh yeah, it is, man. Man, Keith, he kind of gave me the idea for it a little bit, and we jumped on there, and I mean, he just unloaded on Star Wars, which I did to some degree, but I mean, he pounded it on. And I'm like, I'm not ready to do that yet. I'm like, yeah, this sucks, and this sucks, but I'm not ready to just be completely done with Star Wars, and I'm so glad that I wasn't because Andor has delivered, dude.
Oh
I don't
yeah, I
know
just
it.
watched that.
Oh my
Yeah.
god, man, those 3 episodes. That's probably the best thing that I've seen since Rogue One in the Disney era of Star Wars. I mean, that makes up for the sequel trilogy to me.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, if they keep going with the tone that they've set in these 3 episodes and build off of that, this could be right up there with the original trilogy in my book by the end of it. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. I like that they finally found a way to move forward. I think they were struggling to like create their own identity
big
and
time.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, big time. And I think Tony Gilroy is a big part of that. I mean, he's the guy that come in and he doesn't get full credit, but I think he ought to because looking at this show, he pretty much fixed Rogue One. He was the the director that come on board after the guy from Godzilla pretty much fucked it all up. He come in and fixed it, and yeah, and he's writing this one. Him and his brother are writing it, and he's the showrunner. And I mean, it's got
That's
that
cool.
same tone as Rogue One. I mean,
Yeah.
he's nailing it, dude.
Yeah. I was so happy I binge watched it yesterday. And it was like so
Oh
good.
yeah.
Oh man.
And I don't know. I'm glad they did the 3 episodes like they did because I don't think it would have hit like it did, like it needed to if they just did 1 episode. Because I mean,
Right.
you know what I'm talking about. When you finish that first episode, and then the credits popped up. You're like, "What?" You,
Yeah.
I mean, it was shot. I mean, from what I've seen, it's shot in arcs. Like 3 episodes. 3 episodes is a whole kind of arc from what I've read about it and what I've watched about it. And I mean, if you don't get those 3 episodes, you're kind of left hanging. Which I mean, that's you want to leave people hanging because you want them coming back for more. But to introduce the show, I think it was very key for them to give us a complete story right out of the gate to pull us in. Because if they'd only went with that 1 episode, I think that everybody had their damn torches and pitchforks out. I mean,
Yeah,
honestly,
for
because Star
sure. I
Wars
think
is
so.
taking a beating here lately. And I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
Obi Wan had elements, but it didn't live up to the hype, man. It really didn't.
No.
It sorely disappointed me,
Yeah, I
and
couldn't
I
even
think it
uh,
disappointed a lot of people.
yeah, I haven't even finished it actually. I mean, I stopped after about a few episodes. I got to get back to it. But yeah, it didn't hook me like this one, you know.
Well, I'm gonna tell you right now, the last episode makes it all worth it. I'll just leave
Oh
it at
man.
that. The
Okay.
final episode, it makes that whole show worth it. And
Dang, I have to get
I won't
dive
give you
back
any
in.
spoilers. Yeah,
Okay.
it's worth it. It- all the horse shit that you have to dredge through, it's worth it. That last episode.
All
But
right.
yeah,
So I'll
I
just
mean, it could
I
have been. Go ahead.
no, I'm just saying I'll just definitely get my hip waders on and get through the early
Yeah,
episodes.
yeah, and I mean, there's some good stuff in between too. I mean, there really are. I hate to be so critical of the show, but I mean, I had such high expectations for that one. And I
Yeah.
mean, there were good things in there. Don't get me wrong, but it got bogged down in some things that a lot of these newer Star Wars projects are. It seems to be the trouble with all of them, other than Andor. And you know, I guess it depends on the creators. You know, I
Yeah.
I'm hoping Ahsoka, because Dave Filoni, which of course co-created the Clone Wars and did a lot of that with George Lucas, and then he come out with Rebels and he created Ahsoka Tano, and I'm hoping he's supposed to be the showrunner for Ahsoka, and I'm hoping that he just nails it with this because that's his passion project, that's his baby.
Yeah.
So
I
I'm
hope so.
hoping they
Yeah.
smack under the home run with Ahsoka because it's
Yeah.
basically going to be Rebels season 5, but live action.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
they're bringing everybody back. Even I've read some things that they've already cast Ezra Bridger. So everybody's coming back. They're bringing Thrawn back. I mean, this show it could be something if done right.
Yeah.
And I'm, judging off the few episodes that he did, and the Mandalorian, like that one that he did introducing Ahsoka. I mean, dude, that episode really stood out to me. I mean, it had a Western vibe. It had a samurai vibe. It basically was everything that George Lucas based Star Wars on. It wasn't Star Wars based on Star Wars. It was done in the spiritual kind of thing that George Lucas done with the original Star Wars, and you felt it
Yeah.
immediately.
Yeah.
5 minutes into the show, you felt it.
Yeah.
But
Exactly.
see, here I was going to let you go, and I've held you another 10 minutes just rambling. But anyway, it was a pleasure to have you on, brother. Hope to have you on again soon. Like I said, maybe we'll get in touch, and maybe we can do Grumpy Old Nerds together, and
Yeah.
talk about some Star Wars or some Marvel or just whatever. Just have a good
Cool.
conversation. But
Sounds good, man.
just hang loose for a minute. Don't jump completely out of the studio. I'm just going to end the live, and everybody that has watched the show, be sure to jump over, uh, plug yourself, D. Instagram at Dee Hausner. Where else
Yeah.
can they find you at, bud?
So Instagram's like my big one for updates, but also you can go to kidnebulacomic.com, a website that links into Instagram, and you can join a newsletter and so get updates when the next Kickstarter's coming out and things like that. So you can do that. Those are the two main ones, I think.
And I'm gonna have to add that to the description because I didn't know about that one. I didn't know you had that one. So anyway, yeah, I'll get that in the description. So anybody wanting to check out Kid Nebula or just work that he's done, uh, follow what he just said, and I'll also have it in the description. But you guys have a blessed one. Tell your friends about the show. Trying to grow the audience. Hey, like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. Hey, ring that little bell like you're standing in the tower with no pants on. Anyway, take it easy, and y'all have a blessed one.
All right.
And I've lost my mouse again. Here we go. Found it. Got it. There we go.